Hey, it's Moss here. Welcome to the next video in the Clinic Success Academy. So by the end of this video, you'll know why Let Me Think About It is almost never about thinking, and you'll have the one question that surfaces what the patient is actually saying. So let me get into it. So 2 principles to hold before we get into the script. First of all, the patient wouldn't have shown up or they wouldn't have opted in if they weren't interested. They booked consultation, they filled in the form, or they picked up the phone. They raise their hand. That's not a small thing. So let me think about it isn't I'm not interested. It's a polite exit when something else earlier on in the conversation broke. And this is a really big thing to always remember. Whenever we see objections, generally we need to look at what actually was said before that in the conversation, or even before the conversation. The objection is never really the objection. It's just what's above the surface. Think of it like an iceberg. So that shift in framing from rejection to it just being a diagnostic signal is everything. It changes what you do next. Secondly, as I've said before, you always want to return an objection with a question. This is the most important principle in the entire objection module, and it matters here more than anywhere else. Never answer, let me think about it with, okay, take your time, or okay, cool, if you're interested, let me know, or give me a call back. That's a polite response that loses 10 out of 10 of those patients permanently. I can say this confidently. Having been in business and sales specifically for years, I have never, ever, literally zero, had another call where somebody said, hey, let me think about it. Or they've never become a customer or client. If I said, cool, come back to me if you ever want to, you've forgotten about it. It's the final hurdle. What happens is they walk out, life fills a gap, and the consult becomes a sunk cost. So answer it with a question every time, even if it's uncomfortable at the start. It's just a habit. Have fun with it. Because here's the bigger picture. Again, like I said, most clinics, they think they have a marketing problem, but they almost never do. They have a sales problem and a systems problem, and the leads are already there. You're already paying for them. You've already started the conversation with them, literally, if you get to this point. The conversion leak happens at moments exactly like this. When a patient says, let me think about it, the front desk says, of course, we'll send you a link, and that's the gap, and closing it costs nothing. The same root objection gets phrased in different ways. Again, much like our video about things being too expensive, you need to equip yourself to recognize the pattern. It can be, let me think about it. I'd like some time to consider. Can I get back to you? I want to sleep on it. I need to do more research, or I'll let you know. Treat them all in the same way. Same underlying signal or root cause. Again, like healthcare. Different polite exit costume. A potential patient who says, I need to do some research is almost never going to do research. A patient who says, I'll let you know is unlikely to let you know, or if ever. 95% of the time, they will not let you know. These are socially comfortable ways to leave without confrontation. Humans will take the path of least resistance. It's what we're evolved to do. Your job is to not take offense at that. Your job is just to see through it. What's actually going on, you might ask? Behind every let me think about it, it's almost always one of 3 things. 1, they don't see themselves in the plan. The treatment was presented clearly, what it is, how it works, but nobody connected it back to the specific outcome. Again, I keep mentioning this, but it could be their daughter's wedding in June. The confidence they want back. The issue they've been living with for 2 years and has pained them and has caused them to take action now. Step 3 of the value stack was thin. They can't picture themselves on the other side of the treatment. 2, the cost wasn't justified by perceived value. They know the price. They don't yet feel it's worth it. That's the value gap, not a price problem. The number isn't too high. The bridge from where they're at now to where they want to be hasn't been built yet. You really need to build empathy and flesh out the discrepancy between where they're at right now and where they want to be. Thirdly, it could be real-world friction. These things do happen. A partner might need to weigh in. The timing could be genuinely wrong. They want to look at one more clinic before deciding, and that one is a real objection, and it dissolves clearly once it's named. But again, like the pricing one, these are 3 completely different problems with just one identical phrase. And again, like I said, you never, ever, ever want to answer an objection with a statement. Always answer an objection with a question. So after the patient says, let me think about it in any form, you say, of course, totally fair. Just so I can help you think about it properly, is the timing, the cost, or the result you're not sure about? This will feel uncomfortable the first few times you say it, but this is such a superpower once you can get used to answering an objection with a question. Because something like this is like 3 different categories. Again, it's like a doctor diagnosing a patient. A headache could be from dehydration, or it could be from a fever. It could be from multiple different things. If you don't ask the follow-up questions, how are you going to troubleshoot and diagnose what the actual root cause is? So again, there could be 3 categories. The patient's going to pick one. Now you actually know what you're responding to. If it's timing, say, what would need for it to be true for the timing to work for you? Timing objections usually resolve in like 30 seconds when you name a specific date. They rarely resolve when you say whenever suits. If it's cost, you circle back to the previous video that we had before, where you say, is it the cost itself, the amount itself, or the confidence that the result will be worth it? Same diagnostic from the price objection video. You're not defending the price, you're finding the missing outcome picture. If it's a result, what would make you feel confident you're going to get the results you're looking for? This opens real conversation and gives you a chance to send over examples of previous work. Stay with it. Each follow-up pulls the door open. The proper exit closes it. So if the diagnostic question surfaces a real concern, like I'm not sure if it'll work for me, or I've tried things before and it didn't work, that's your signal to run the failed to open pivot. If you ran it earlier in the consult, great. If you didn't run it here, it still works. 2 questions in order. First, tell me about what you tried before and why you think those things didn't work and why they didn't get you the lasting result you're after. Let them answer. Let them clear the backlog of old attempts in their own words. Then, if there was a way to help you their specific goal, would you be open to that? Almost no one wants to feel closed-minded, so they say yes. And here's why that matters. Patients believe what comes out of their mouth more than what comes out of yours. If you tell them the result will land, they weigh it against their past experiences and they stay skeptical. If they say it themselves, that prior attempts failed, they're open to something different, they act on it. Get them to say it. Don't say it for them. Right? Again, you can see there's a consistent pattern here. Book a meeting from a meeting. Even after you work through the objection, you have to lock in a next step, no matter what. Never let a patient leave on, I'll let you know. Say, let's tentatively hold a slot for Thursday. That way it's yours if you decide it's right. If by Wednesday you feel it's not the right time, no harm done at all. Fair? Again, fair is a good word to add because nobody wants to seem unfair. Tentative hold is the booking version of the polite exit. Patients accept it because there's no immediate cost to them. But once in the calendar, the conversion rate triples because the mental commitment has already been made. Every consultation should end with a name and a date, not a business card in the pocket, right? So here's what we covered today. 1, let me think about it is almost never about thinking. It's a polite exit when something else is broke and your job is to see through it. Again, for the next call, you can note, I can pretty much tell you the difference is, the issue is probably either with your tone, your energy, did you smile, anything from the previous videos, or you didn't paint out the difference in what they're running from to what they're running to. But anyways, we move on to the next one. Secondly, always make sure to return an objection with the diagnostic question, timing, cost, or result, so you know what you're actually responding to. 3, always close on a tentative hold so the conversation has a concrete next step. If you remember one thing from this video, it's the diagnostic question. Is it the timing, the cost, or the result you're not sure about? 6 seconds opens every conversation that would otherwise close. I want you to write this on an index card and put it somewhere visible. Is the timing, the cost, or the result you're not sure about? Use it next time a patient says, let me think about it. 1 card, 1 question, and that's today's action. And I want you to drop them in Slack and let me know when these things start working. Again, the way you can practice this is going to take 20 minutes. Pair drill, you're going to get 2 people. One, again as always, who plays a patient who says, let me think about it. The other one will play the front desk. The front desk will run the diagnostic question, identify the category, then respond specifically to that concern. Run it 3 times for each category. Timing, cost, result. So every path gets reps. Swap roles halfway through, record it, drop into your Slack channel. We'll give some feedback for you. That being said, I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.